Hello, I'm Tom Lobianco, national politics reporter and co-founder of 24sight News. And today I'm joined by a raconteur, Julie Mason. You might have heard of her. She has a show on SiriusXM, channel 124. That's the POTUS channel, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. And we're flipping the tables. She's on the 24sight pod now.
No, no.
I'm you can't see this, but I'm basically Hulkamaniaing my shirt.
Me too, actually.
and
Let's
the best
start
part
this thing
is
off right.
and underneath we both have Vance Trump shirts because that is the proper order.
Mhm. Yes,
So um I guess let's start with that Hulkamania.
sir.
What
Mhm.
the hell?
But it set a tone, right? It was macho. It was just the kind of Dana White Hulkmania. It's like it's a vibe, it's a scene, it's what they want, it's their version of masculinity.
It's yes.
Cartoon masculinity.
Yes. Yes, it's very cartoonish
Mhm.
and scripted. That
Mhm.
very good Jonathan V. Last piece about heat in
Yes.
WWE.
Cheap heat. Cheap heat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go to a conference of black journalists and question whether the vice president who's about to be the nominee is black.
Black enough.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then, quote unquote, lean into it after that, which I'm not sure that's how did you read that? How did you read the response to that?
I mean, after casting about on that, I figured he was probably trying to cut into like her black support and bring it back on
Mm.
side for him and say, look, she's not proud of being black. Right. And to plant that seed and say she doesn't have black pride. I'm not sure that it works. I think the default could be to make her voters more defensive or to make black voters more defensive. I'm not sure it brings anyone on side. I'm not sure he's tapping into a vein of mistrust that exists for Kamala Harris because I don't think that exists for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
feels like his equivalent of Blexit by Candace Owens.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's what he was trying to do. If he had a plan, or maybe he was just reacting in the moment to he does not like to be challenged by black women. Like that is
Yes.
established, right?
Yes.
Abby Phillip and some of the other journalists who questioned him
Yep.
during his time in the White House, it really made him prickly. And so I
Yeah.
think he went in with his backup and then I think
Mm.
like lashed out in some sort of primal instinct. But I'm not sure it was effective. We'll have to see, but I don't think so. I haven't really heard a lot of cheers for that gambit.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we had Mike Johnson coming out of, I mean, the official playbook coming out of the convention is we're not crazy anymore, guys. Okay. No more crazy. I realize we just watched Kid Rock like do a Trump assassination song and Hulkamaniac 98% rip the shirt. Like I got that, but my God, we are not going DEI on Kamala Harris, folks. And like 98% of the conference got that. Victoria Spartz, bless her heart, did not get that. I think she said something like it was a hit job by the government or something ridiculous like that. Or maybe January's. It's Victoria Spartz. I don't know. It was bonkers. A couple people didn't get the message, and it
Right.
seems like Trump didn't get the message.
He has such a profound respect for his own political instincts that he doesn't receive messages. You can't manage that guy. He does his own thing.
I just was so shocked that like to see that an assassination attempt did not help a in raw political terms. Obviously, this is not in human terms. Nobody should be assassinated, clearly, but in raw political terms, did not help it. Like,
Right.
what the hell?
But I mean, maybe it's helping him in ways we're not seeing, Tom, because
Hmm.
for example, he's putting out a $99 picture book with that photo on the cover, the defiant, fight, fight, fight. He's marketing a new pair of shoes with that picture on the side of the shoe. There's a new Trump Bible with these photos included. So I think it's helping him just not in the polls, which I think is what you're referring to, but
Yeah.
I think he's finding ways to make it work for him in other ways. It also galvanized his image. Not that this was
Yeah.
required, but I mean, it gold plated his image with his followers. Now
Yes.
he is martyred and he is risen and that fight, 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 that was all they
Yeah.
needed to you know, just
It
it
got,
worked.
what's her name? Kim Reynolds. It got her in MAGA gear.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And she was extremely unpopular in her home state.
Yes. Every DeSantis supporter, overt or otherwise, was wearing
The
like
wilderness. Yeah.
rhinestone MAGA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, are we missing it? I see golden sneakers as a response to his convictions, the indictments, and attempts to win over black voters. And as somebody who's grown up in the I-95 corridor, that strikes me as racist and pandering. Are we missing it? Am I missing it here? Like, what's it like?
No, I've only ever seen those shoes on white people. Anyway.
Does it add an inch to your jump? Like,
I don't know. I've seen them on like older women worn unironically
really?
at the convention. Yeah, it was very strange.
What? Okay.
One dude and one dude. Yeah,
There was a lot to see at the convention.
and we saw it all, and we can't unsee it, Tom.
I want I want Terry Bollea to like restitch the shirt back on. Like
Mm-hmm.
just hit the rewind button and it comes back together. It's how do we hit
I
that?
was I was on Radio Row with the MAGA influencers. Like there is not a lot of radio
Oh,
on the row, but there's Benny Johnson on the row, who I used to be friendly with
yeah.
and don't recognize anymore. Although I went and said hi, we had a nice wave. But yeah, all it was a very strange environment. It wasn't because I thought it was going to be all like talk radio from around the country, and they were definitely there. They were there, but there was just and we're going to have this at the Democratic convention too. There's going to be influencers all around.
Oh,
They're getting
yeah.
media credentials. They're being encouraged to attend, and these are the real voices of America. This is what the candidates and the campaigns.
Oh,
That's what they want.
yes. I think it was Wednesday night after the Vance night. It was Russia night at the RNC. And I was walking out, Warren and I were walking out to one of the bars, and I was walking behind Ivan Raiklin. And Ivan, of course, is Mr. Hitlist. He's the
Mm-hmm.
one that said, "Oh, all you deep state people are coming after us. We're going to come after you." Not defined, we're not going to say it's like an assassination. It's just here's a list of who everyone who's evil. If a bad thing happens to them, so be it.
So is it a good thing to be on the list? Is it like a status thing now, Tom, to be on the list? Like, should I worry about my position if I'm not on it? Am I a nobody if I'm not on the list? Do I want to be on the list or not?
It was like it's like the equivalent of the Mark Meadows cell phone in January 6th.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have to say, I am proud that I was not a part of that
You were not
because
texting Mark that day.
no, I
Nor
don't
was I.
mind saying that I didn't text Mark Meadows because he is as we found out, I think a lot of us know already, was and is a profligate source.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And God bless it, I say. We
Yeah.
need more sources, more
Yes.
talkers. Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know who was at the CNN girl, which is really surprising to me, and it kind of gave me a sense that this moment for Trump has passed. Brick suit guy was there.
Brick suit guy.
The guy with the brick suit that shows up to every Trump rally.
Oh yeah, oh that guy. Oh yeah, he got in the CNN grill. My boss couldn't get in there.
Oh, well, let's Let's get you a brick suit. Why not?
I mean, yeah, why don't I have one? Yeah, but it's all right. So finish your idea. So that to you meant Trump was kind of over.
Yeah, it feels like the energy is gone. I mean, that is establishment. I mean, I love being in there. I worked at CNN in 2016. It was a great time seeing a ton of friends. I love seeing everyone, but I'm of that world. And it was surprising to me to see somebody who's anti that world, or at least used to be anti that world, now in it.
Maybe it's one of those things that you scorn while you're on the outside, but then when you have access, suddenly it's not a terrible thing.
Free beer and free food
Mhm.
is quite the elixir.
Yeah, it really is. And also the sense of getting through a velvet rope line.
Yeah. Like how much of the screaming and wailing and gnashing of teeth was ideological versus just wanting to be on in the cool crowd?
Maybe so. Can't count it out. I mean, this is politics, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your sense of the Trump energy this time?
Oh, I mean, I just feel like they're such a hitch in their giddy up, right? They were coming so hot out of that convention. They had it in the bag. They did, Tom. I mean, when you and I talked at the convention, there was a sense that these were the winners. Like that Biden would, there was just no way they were going to pull off. The convention was going to be like a Potemkin nightmare of Democrats
Yeah.
pretending they were into it and they wouldn't be. And and all that. And Trump had the numbers, he had the enthusiasm, like Vance didn't matter, nobody cared, and it was onward to November. Man, they got brought up short. And I just think, yeah, the air is out of the tires. And but I believe they'll regroup. I do. I think with the professionalism of his campaign and
Yes.
his own feral cunning, I think they're going to come up. I don't know if it's going to be a winning strategy, but they're not going to stay like this forever. I think they're just momentarily gobsmacked. But I
Yeah.
really think they'll pull it together. I really do, because there's the skills and the instinct exist to make it happen.
So much of that, it kind of like I think back to 2016, which is like the
Yeah,
real
yeah, yeah.
race that he had because we
Mhm,
were everything was so stalled out in 20. Um, there were moments back then where he was in trouble of losing,
mhm,
and he would set himself free to be controlled by professionals.
mhm.
Is
Yeah,
that what we're going to see here?
maybe a combo, because there's been I believe credible reporting that he's a little miffed at his professionals, and that not really happy and blaming them for what uh, events outside of their control, obviously, but they've got to figure out a response to it. And this huge investment they made into running against Biden, and now it's not Biden and all that, so he's mad. But they do have the skills and the instinct to be able to turn this around, right? And I think
Yeah.
starting next week we'll see that, combined with his own sort of feral instincts about how to run. And I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the combo.
Yeah, that the ability to turn on a dime by him and then have people execute properly,
Mhm. Yeah.
which yeah. God, that would be a huge mistake if he dumped it for him. It would be a huge mistake if he dumped this team. I would be
Oh God.
shocked.
Yeah, that would be stupid. They got him this far. They got him into the lead. I maybe they can get him back. Now they have a real opponent, and so it's going to be a little
Yes.
harder, right? But
Well, so, okay, so I mean, coming out of the convention, Trump certainly seemed to be high on his own supply. We saw that with the invincible talk, and is Kamala coke herself, is she coconut pilled? Or are the Democrats now high on their own supply?
oh, the irrational exuberance. I have to keep reminding my listeners every day, Tom, he's still leading in the polls. Yes, she's closing the gap. She's performing better than Biden. She's just now losing by less. I mean, and she may turn it around. The momentum is in her direction, but I mean, they've turned her into a gay icon, a feminist icon. She's a cultural phenom. The screaming at top volume, it's ridiculous. It really bothers me. And before this happened, Tom, what was really bothering me was how much Democratic voters, and especially very online Democrats, were becoming just
Mm.
like MAGA, right? Turn on the
Yes.
press. Turn on the
Yes.
press. The press is your
Yes.
enemy. reject expertise. Biden doesn't believe the polls, so why should we? Polling. And seriously, listeners actually saying to me, 1,100 people isn't much. That doesn't mean anything. Why, that's just the opinion of 1,100 people. I'm just going to ignore that. And it's like, and and cocooning over at MSNBC. I only want to hear from Rachel and Nicole and Joy because they're real journalists. Like, okay, all right, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening.
Yeah.
And I would say to them, like, you sound just like, they'd be like, well, I'm not listening to your show anymore because you have Republicans on. Oh, well, MAGA does that too. They stopped listening because I have Democrats on.
Yeah.
And it gets so mad and be like, we're not like MAGA. It's like, you're becoming. So I was mad about that because I was sorry to see it. Sorry to see it in either party. It's just, it's a terrible inclination. And I'm sorry that it's even possible to do that you can cocoon and block out expertise and hate the press, whatever. So that was bothering me. So now they've swung to the other side of being like so sure, so positive, like so unquestioning, just, and this is not how politics works. It's not like, it's just not how it works.
I was wondering about this. I mean, in my very informal focus groups, this is like very much the poor man's Frank Luntz. Like walk up with like an old cable dial box. Like, hey, would you twist this?
A rotary phone.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking with the other parents on the playground at birthday parties. I've been surprised at how much people have been re-engaged in a way that a lot of folks just were not. And it felt like it started happening with the debate. But then I take it the next step and I say, okay, are you coconut pilled? And they're like, what?
Oh, really? That's kind of a young person thing, right? That's kind of a me thing. I think you have to be very online. And I think people think like coconut pill, does that mean she's like brown on the outside, white on the inside? Like, what are we talking about here? Is this like a racist thing I don't want to get involved with? That was my first instinct when I heard coconut. I had to have it explained to me by the intern, frankly. Not my proudest moment, Tom. Not my best moment in journalism. No.
I didn't know who Charlie XCX was. I do now.
Oh yeah. I bet you do. I bet you know all about her. Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I go green screen, it's usually not Brett, but we're about,
Understood.
But I do wonder, because this was a central problem with DeSantis, especially, was that he was too online, and when he stepped out into reality, he just fell apart.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember only 20% of Americans are on X or Twitter or Shitter or whatever we call it now.
God, yes. Jesus.
And it's not the opinion leader that it used to be. Now it's just a bunch of cranks, really.
Yes. It's like back in the heyday, like, with like 08, 09, like it was very, idealistic, and it was just the fucking goobers, going at it.
Yeah.
And now it's the goobers again, but the idealism is gone.
Right. Now it's just toxic. It's just nothing but attacks and abuse and screaming and posturing. It's lost its value.
Yeah.
So many journalists I know, Tom, have stopped using it as well. Like maintain their accounts and check in to just scroll, but they don't post. They haven't posted in years.
Yeah. I stopped. I mean, for a long time, I was only cursorily engaging on there because of the toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, why would I go to a place where, people say they want to kill me constantly?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of that great Jack Schaefer column. I still can't believe that Politico let him go.
I know. He's the best. The best.
Right? Like,
yes. Huge love for Jack Schaefer. He would never come on my show. He doesn't do media.
Really?
I know.
What?
but never missed one of his columns. So which one are you referring to?
Oh, well, it was this. It was the proper Kamala Harris, everything in context. Uh,
Mhm.
Pointing out, how much the internet and online is the tail wagging the dog, and specifically cable, which then sets the capital N narrative. When in reality, these are all, it's just a modicum of what's viewed by America, which is
Mhm.
the evening newscast.
Yes. Yes. That's why, everyone's saying like it was cable news's fault we had Trump because you played him all the time. Like, okay, 600,000 people watch cable on a given night. But 74 million people voted for Trump. So I can't make that math work, Tom. It was all
Yeah.
cable's fault.
AM radio. AM radio is still huge.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Very, very influential.
Yeah.
Talk radio generally, not mine, but
Oh,
partisan talk radio, like our Patriot channel at SiriusXM, huge. Those guys are massive followings. They are just important voices in the party.
but why did the right become so dominant on radio as opposed to the left?
Because Democrats are wimps. Remember when they tried it with Air America and no one listened because it wasn't. I mean, there's something very primal about the rage economy
Yeah.
of the right, and
Yeah.
it really it's self-perpetuating and it becomes addicting, and people
Yes.
listen to it in the background all day long. Democrats just, they just don't have that. They just don't have that fight. um they don't.
Oh,
Bless them, God bless.
yeah.
Bless. But they don't. They just and so it's not hitting the erogenous zones of their
Yeah.
audience in the same way to have a sober discussion about Social Security. It's not the same as like screaming into a microphone about the injustice of it all. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes, sir.
yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you, the thing that calms me down at the end of the week is when I flip on WAMU and Science Friday is back. I
Oh,
love,
nice. Yeah. Mhm.
yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's
That's
not
good.
always
Bear
it's not
down.
always Ira Flato. They got a new person on there, but man, I love Science Friday.
I've been known to enjoy a big jazz Saturday night on WAMU. Yeah.
Oh, what's
Yeah.
up?
They play that like really classic, like old timey,
Yeah.
Count Basie stuff that's really like atmospheric. Yeah. Hmm.
Up in I grew up in Baltimore, outside of Baltimore, and on WYPR and I think they still have it at up until midnight, from like 8 to midnight. It's jazz with Andy Beanstalk, and it is
Wow.
so good.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's happened to us, Tom? We're talking about jazz in a favorable way. Our younger selves would come back and kill us right now, kill us dead,
Kick me in the nuts, like
right?
right now.
Hard throat punch, no jazz.
Okay. What does 18-year-old Julie say to you now?
That I was right all along and that finishing college was not that important, Tom.
Were you hardcore punk back in the day?
Yeah, like
Awesome.
extremely. Not just like, and Tom, I'm not talking about a little studded wristband and a little skull earring. I was full out. It was a lot. It was a lifestyle.
What's
Still
up?
in me. It's still in me, Tom.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're the last punk on Sirius XM.
Right. That's Sirius XM. Maybe so. Maybe so.
What were your top bands back then?
Well, Minor Threat, The Clash were my
What's
two top
up?
bands. Yeah,
Yes.
I loved them all: the Ramones, the Misfits, Black Flag, and Henry Rollins is a guest on my show all the time now, and he's a fan of
What?
mine. Yeah, so I grew up being a fan of his music, and now he comes on my show and we talk about like his life and what's going on, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Does that blow your mind? Like when you meet somebody who you idolize and like they are exactly as cool as you
Yes,
thought?
yes, and it almost never happens, but he's definitely one.
Oh man. Is he here?
And
Is he still here in DC?
No, he's in LA.
Wow.
Yeah, really great guy. Like a
I was
really
watching.
nice guy. Like a thoughtful
Yeah.
guy. Like a really great to talk to kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm, I don't understand. There's like this, it's like a nerd bifurcation. And like, I look at the tech bros, and it's like you can go like happy, idealistic, utopian nerd, or you can go misanthropic, Hobbesian nerd, which is like the Peter Thiel
I know, I was gonna
democracy
say, you're
is
talking about
over.
Peter right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
Like burn it to the ground.
Mhm.
I and it is so it's really fascinating to see this. Like, I mean, I've read about Kurt Yarvin before, and as his huge influence on this, quote, new right, the latest new right. I mean, thank God it's not the alt right making fun of pedophilia. So that's something.
Mhm.
But this new, I think I'll look at, like, I see a photo of this guy for the first time. I'm like, my God, he's a computer nerd.
What are
Like
the ideas of this new right? What should we
the
know?
the neo-monarchism, like
Oh, is that what's up?
yeah. Dark. Have you heard of Dark Enlightenment?
Mm-mm. No.
It's the idea
Dark
that
enlightenment.
yeah, put us back in the Dark Ages, pre-Enlightenment. It's like these arguments that, like, oh, democracy failed, it's over already.
What, so let's give up penicillin? Like, what is the thinking?
I, I you know, I, God, I gotta read up on this more. I actually am working, doing a little bit of internet research right now, and on this one,
Doing your
and
own research, Tom?
God help us. That 24sight does not have a Nexus account, unfortunately. So it's relegated to the darkest corners of the interwebs. Like the Linux keyboard. Like, um, I was shocked by this. I just, like, I'm like, why would you? That's going backwards.
Yeah. I'm not sure what was so great about those times.
I mean, this is what I tell my kid. I'm trying to, like, educate a 7-year-old on democracy. Like, well, one person used to make the decisions, and like all the girls at school love trolls. They all love every troll movie that comes out. And I'm like, well, King comes in and says they don't like trolls. You don't have trolls anymore.
Hmm.
That's how it goes.
Right? It's very
Like,
undemocratic.
yeah. Why would we go backwards? I don't get it. Where did this come from? What the hell happened?
I mean, as an Irish American, I have a reflexive loathing of monarchs. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't get it.
Joy, how did you end up on radio?
Well, I've been in print for like 25 something years, and I was reaching a point in my career where it's like you kind of run out of fresh starts at a certain point. I was in my mid 40s, and I thought I could either stay in print. I was at Politico, and I had a good job there. I was a
Yeah.
White House reporter, and they liked me, and I was proud of my work and everything, and they tried to keep me. But I thought, what can I, like, after a certain point, there's not a lot of dignity in daily news reporting. Like, chasing after a motorcade in your 40s isn't cool, Tom. But I still love journalism. So I wanted to do journalism in a different way. And I happened to know Joe Matthew, who had the job before me at SiriusXM, and he was leaving. And he was like,
Oh.
why don't you apply for my job? And I was like, what? Like, is that I hadn't like done much radio. I was like, what and he said, they'll teach you the radio stuff. They want what's in your head. They want what you know and the connections you
Yeah.
have, and that will be like really valuable to them. And I was like, all right. So I went and talked to some executives at the company, and they were really nice. And a guy brought me in, Tim Farley, who was the
Oh.
yeah, you remember, he was the program director at the time.
Yeah.
He brought me in to meet these executives, and we had this great chat, and we were talking about everything, and how that's so fun and all that. And afterwards, he asked me, he was walking me out, and he said, well, how do you think that went? And I said, I think it went really well. What did you think? And he said, well, you are who you are. And I was
Whoa,
like,
what?
what? What? I thought it went great. I am who I am. What? I've asked him about that. He was like, I don't remember saying it. But anyway, so they took a chance on me, and it was like that, Tom. They were like, you'll figure out the radio thing, just and I got tips and pointers and so they hired me, and I got tips and pointers, and my producer was really experienced in radio. So he was able to help me a lot with like delivery. I used to have a problem with interrupting people all the time because, Tom, as soon as I think of a funny thing, I want to say it right away. Right. So like, so we miss out on the joke. But they told me I had to stop doing that, and they told me, and they're right. It'll still be funny in 30 seconds. It'll probably
Oh,
be even funnier if you hold back, don't interrupt, and then say the joke, then say the witticism. It still works. It
oh,
totally works. And
what's
if not,
up?
then you just move on and you just try to be funny the next time. So yeah,
Wow.
I know. So I learned a lot. And so now it's been like, I don't know, like 13 years, 12 years, 13 years I've been doing it. And I love it. It was just a different thing to do with the journalism.
Yeah. Is it
Yeah.
Patrick? Did Patrick tell you that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, and actually Tim Farley as well. Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've just absolutely loved it. So it like sort of it at a point in my career when I was getting stale, I was like running out of ideas. Do you ever have those
Yeah.
days, Tom, where you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't care about this anymore. But it's
Yeah.
like completely refreshed and rebooted journalism for me because I just got to do it in a completely different way, and it was super fun. It's been
Hell
super fun.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's like it feels like the most fun part of journalism is just talking with people and like
Yes,
learning shit.
exactly. Yes, yes. Like gabbing with sources and yakking with other reporters, and that's the best part of the day, right? And now
Yeah.
that's the entirety of my job.
Ah, oh my God.
I know. I know.
I like, man, I get that. Like, I'll tell you, like 9 years of covering Trump, like, oh, he said something crazy. Like, I got friends back home that text me. They're like, oh, did he really say that? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
of course he did. Like, I'd
that's the
be
thing.
shocked.
You develop all this expertise, right? Because you've covered him for so long, but then you're like, why am I still doing this? And
Yeah,
that's the thing with presidents, they come and go. Covered Bush for 8 years, but then he bugged out. We got Obama, and it was all new. So it's like the same job, but it's new. But yeah, covering
yeah,
Trump for 9 years, that'll any subject for 9 years.
yes. And maybe it's like the natural ADD of our profession.
Yeah.
It's like I
Girl.
never I never used to stay anywhere more than 4 years. Like 4 years was a stretch for me. That
Right.
was like, wow, I accomplished that. Like,
Yeah. But now it's harder to find jobs,
yeah,
right? And I feel like we only
yeah,
have like a 1 year lease on all of our jobs at any given
yeah,
time. Hmm.
yeah. We really do. It's really shocking. I when I graduated undergrad from journalism in '04, all of the talk was about God, what was the name for it? It was synergy. It was something like Jesus. Yeah, yeah, remember that? Like you're gonna go on TV. And the
Yeah,
whole reason I love print was because I did not have to go on TV.
right.
Like,
TV is hard. People don't understand that. It's
yeah,
hard. Like
yeah,
respect to the TV people.
yeah, legit.
Hard job.
Yeah. Like to be on all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, so what is so 30 seconds, give it a breather when you're on air with a guest. What are some other pointers when you're doing radio?
Oh, over prepare. Like the only times I'm ever nervous on the air is when I'm unprepared. Like if
Oh,
there's a last minute guest and I haven't done any prep for them. I'll try to do it on the fly, like while I'm talking to them, which is not easy because you want to focus. But
yeah.
so I over prepare for every show. I go into every show. My show is 3 hours long. I go in with at least 4.5 to 5 hours worth of material
Oh, what's
because
up?
guests flake, they bail, especially when like your bread and butter is lawmakers and print reporters. There is no one funkier. on God's blue marble, right? Because print reporters, they just forget. They just go, they're having a conversation over here and they've forgotten they have a hit on national radio and they're just gassing away. And then lawmakers, they have votes or suddenly they get booked for TV and they don't want to do radio. And do you know what I mean? So guests are always flaking and I've got to fill that time. And you can't do that
Oh,
cold. You can't just start musing aloud. So I have lots of paper with me and lots of ideas and I constantly jotting down. So I'll end a show without even using all the material that I go in with, but at least I didn't
oh,
have a freak out because the longest I've had to go without a guest, like tap dancing, we call it, when you're just like filling time, was 45 minutes. And Tom, it
whoa.
killed me. We were waiting for some president to start talking and they were late. And I'm in the studio by myself, but I went in with tons of paper and I just was talking about polls and like telling stories. And I had some anecdotes and there was some other stuff and I got through it. But afterwards, I felt like I'd given birth like to a watermelon. Horrible. Is that a beautiful image for
It's so
radio?
good.
People think it's really easy because it's just talking. And people say that to me sometimes. You're not really working. All you do is talk. Like, oh, well, you should try it. 3 hours a day. That's no
Right?
joke.
Like when
Mhm.
they, like when everybody says that teaching is so easy because they get 3 months off every year.
My first husband was a public school teacher. It is
Yeah.
not easy. It is not that is some really hard work.
That is yes. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know what I used to my college girlfriend both her parents were teachers and I used to hear these wild stories about teachers like stealing each other's lessons plans and like yeah. Yeah, right? Like yo,
Savage,
like knifing in the teachers lounge.
right?
Like,
Dangerous.
I was like, what's up? What the hell? Okay, so what is let's go we'll bring it back to a modern day here. Um what what was Trump doing with that NABJ interview? Because nothing that he does, he might come across as boorish,
Mhm.
but there is a purpose behind the madness, whether it works or not. What was he
Right.
doing?
Right. Well, like I said earlier, I think he was trying to drive a wedge between Kamala Harris and black supporters. He had been very proud, Tom, that he was able to bring a certain percentage of black voters on side for him. And as we talked about, he doesn't have to win them all. He just has to win. He just has to steal a certain percentage to do well. And he was very
Yes.
proud of having done that. He felt like he was building out MAGA, right? Like making it bigger, bringing
Yeah.
Hispanic voters, black voters. And here she is a threat to that. And I think this was his like sort of gut level idea for trying to drive a wedge in there. As
Do
we
you
said, I'm not sure it worked.
do you think that because this was such a huge debate, think of what Rick Wilson always says, everything Trump touches dies.
Yes.
It was such a huge debate inside NABJ on to even have him on
Yeah,
there.
I disagreed with that. I mean, it's not my business to tell the Association
Yeah.
of Black Journalists how to conduct their business, but this idea, and I hear this all the time in radio too, like, why are you giving a platform to Ron Johnson? It's like, well, the voters, the good voters of Wisconsin gave him a
Yeah.
platform, and I interview him because he's a U.S. senator. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? People have this attitude of like, I don't want to hear from people I don't like, or I
Yeah.
don't want if I disagree with them, then you shouldn't be interviewing them. And if
Yeah.
I do interview him, then why didn't you confront him? He said something I disagree with. It's like, oh man, you got to let people have their own viewpoint. Anyway, so this whole idea
Yeah.
of platforming really irritates me. It's one of these words like framing and narrative, which we don't use and centering, which we don't use in journalism, but other people like put upon us. Like, I see how you centered the framing in your narrative to platform him. Like that word's never said in a newsroom. So so this whole
Wait,
idea, this whole concept of platforming him at the end, he's the Republican nominee for president. Like,
yeah.
if you have a chance and you don't interview him, are you? Is that journalism? or we
Yeah.
only talk to people we like, or we only talk to people who are good and virtuous, and it's just
Right.
it's just a dumb idea. But I'm not a member of that organization, and
Yeah.
I'm not interested in criticizing them. But from a
Yeah.
journalistic standpoint, because my good friend April Ryan had a problem with it as well. But
Yeah.
she also got a lot of grief and threats, and there was like talk of a dossier during the Trump administration about April, and it's very threatening. She had death threats, so she has some real
Yes.
concerns, which 100 years of respect on that. But just from a journalistic perspective, we have to talk to everyone, even
Yeah.
if you don't like them, you must.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I was really I felt like, and when Rachel Scott opened that interview with just a great TikTok of his history with
Yeah.
black folks,
Mhm.
that's all you have to do. And that that simple act of knitting together the perfect nut graph and opening with it was incredibly powerful.
It was powerful. Yeah, she did a great job. But it also underscored the difficulty of interviewing him because,
Yeah.
he got a fusillade of misstatements, lies, misinformation. The Washington Post did a great point by point fact check because it had to be
Yeah.
done. But yeah, it's
Yes.
just like you can't keep up with like the BS that, and it's just a really hard job to do.
Yeah. Do I mean when you're doing this, when you're on air, um, have you ever encountered this where you have a guest that is just bullshitting everything and is demonstrably incorrect on a ton of stuff?
I really try to avoid those kind of guests. And my producer is really great about like we book MAGA all the time, like lots of
Hmm.
MAGA, as much MAGA as we can get. And some of it sometimes like his press secretaries will say things like today I had Caroline Levitt on who was saying that,
Oh yeah.
they got rid of Biden in a coup. And it's like
Oh yeah.
I don't think it was a coup. It wasn't a coup, but is that really worth saying, Caroline, that wasn't a coup? Like, I'm lucky in that my listeners are really smart and really well informed. So
Yes.
I don't need to baby food them like the truth because they already know. And so I would hope that when they hear that, it just flies right by. They know the origins of that. They understand the background to that particular statement. I don't have to school marm it up and say, that's not true. So I really try to avoid the people who just sling so much BS that you can't keep up with it. But if someone wants to come on with their like, calling it a coup or whatever, like I'm just gonna let that go by because because I have the luxury because I have this great self-selecting audience of political junkies who just
Yes.
want to hear from all the people. So I'm lucky like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure cable or other outlets have that freedom to do that.
No. Not anymore.
Oh,
It's have you ever had to kick a guest off the air?
yeah, yeah, a few because it just became counterproductive, and I didn't like feeling that, you know. And but it's like hashtag not just Republicans,
Yeah.
so like someone from any stripe can step up and just say a lot of garbage. I usually just cut it short and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't badmouth them. It's just that my show's just not the venue for that. But I have noticed that a lot of times, some of the more bomb throwy Republicans, right, come on my show, and my listeners joke about it, and I joke about it too. They wear normal pants for my show, and then they wear
Oh
like
yeah.
gold pants on Newsmax. Yeah, like they come on and they'll talk very reasonably about something. I had Tim Burchett on recently. We were discussing organic farming. And
Really?
yeah, we had a lovely chat about it and about other topics as well. And they come on and yeah, and because they understand that they're not talking to their own people, they're talking to a national audience, and they don't want to be a joke. They want to be taken
Oh.
seriously, so they come on and they're smart and they're quite reasonable, and they talk about subjects of interest. And
Oh.
yeah, it just shows a whole other side of Ted Cruz. Love it, love that about him. Had Rand Paul on yesterday. We were talking about the assassination attempt on Trump, and he had
Mm.
legit questions and legit concerns. He didn't come
Yeah.
on and say, they weren't covered. They're biased against a Republican, and that's why the Secret Service, which we heard at the hearing. He didn't say it, but that was a line of inquiry at that hearing. right? That suggesting that perhaps it was like a political decision to not adequately protect Trump, which I thought that was an offensive line of questioning. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you know the Secret Service at all, you know that
I,
is just not on point at
yeah.
all. But he didn't do that. He just came on with substantive and real issues.
Oh,
Fancy
interesting.
that. Yeah. So I think they modulate based on the audience a lot. But you don't see them do a lot of cable because it's an ambush, like every time.
It's like when they come on your show, it's almost like Will Ferrell in Old School when he does the debate.
Just so. Will Ferrell, everyone says so. Just like Will Ferrell.
um, I've been looking at RFK Jr.'s numbers, and
Ooh.
yeah, I, right?
Single digits, man. Well, so Anna Greenberg, who's a terrific Democratic pollster, came on my
Hmm.
show early days and I asked her about the RFK phenom. And she said, at the start of a race, everyone's very third party curious and want to kick the tires and they want to a little bit of a protest vote sitch
Mm,
and show the main characters that, they're not automatically on side. And she said, typically those numbers will go down. Like as we get closer, people will they don't want to vote for a loser. People don't want to feel like they're throwing their vote away. They want their vote to have
mm.
meaning. And so she was saying, so those numbers will definitely come down. So a bit of a natural trajectory, but then also a bit of an RFK Jr. like brainworms. How do you come back from brainworms?
Wow. Yeah. I used to think, growing up, I saw Ross Perot. I think 92, is what, 11 years old. It might have been
Oh,
close to the, yeah. I'm close to like seriously paying attention to that. And my takeaway as a elementary school student was that guy's goofy. He's got big ears. And I,
I, I mean, races have been won or lost on such things.
right?
I know, like it's not very, intellectual or high-minded to consider those things, but that's people base their votes on stuff like that. So yeah, that's legit.
Yeah. What was these studies that come out like September, October of like every election year, and it's the morphology of the physiology of each candidate, that every president must have an aquiline nose and must
Oh,
be at least 6 feet tall. You ever see those?
my
Yeah.
goodness. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. This is the phrenology of every election cycle. It's
Well,
like,
it was Rick Wilson noted in his newsletter the other day that with Kamala Harris, her suit is on point, her hair is perfect, and he was like, "Don't call me sexist. These things matter in a
yeah,
campaign." Yeah,
yes.
and he was right. He was absolutely right.
I
We
kind
get
of
all jumpy when there's a woman in the race because like suddenly you can't talk about that stuff, but it matters. Hillary Clinton's outfits mattered. Kamala's do
yeah,
as well. Mhm.
yeah. I wondered about that in 16 because Clinton, as a woman, as most women, was so much shorter than Trump.
Mhm. You know what was also interesting is that she dressed when she was Secretary of State and like after the campaign, she dressed much more luxuriously, like Hermes scarves and designer
Oh,
suits, and you could see the money, right? That she was a
oh,
person of wealth. But then when she ran for president, she was wearing suits that kind of any middle class woman could buy off the rack, and it was quite
really?
deliberate. Yeah, it was quite deliberate.
Oh,
You want to look professional and aspirational, but you don't want to be out of touch. You don't want to wear the Hermes scarf on a campaign
hmm.
stop, but you can wear that when you're Secretary of State.
Does Trump fit that model with his gigantic tie? Mm.
Yes, but I don't. But I think he would dress that way anyway, wouldn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
I think when people talk about his authenticity, that's the kind of stuff they mean. That he didn't change.
yeah. Like when he rolls into like Pat's or Geno's or something in Philadelphia and pulls out the roll of hundreds and starts peeling them off. Like it apparently is something he's done for forever. Uh,
Wow. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Rick Gates was telling me that a while ago. They'd go to events and he would just like peel off hundreds and just like slide them to people.
Wow, good tipper.
Yeah, yeah, for the right
Yeah,
people in his work, in his mind.
yeah. Mhm.
Yes, I. So you think so? Is Kamala? So Kamala is wearing properly. She's dressing properly to meet this
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember in oh, what was it? Jackie Brown. When Pam Grier, did you see Jackie Brown?
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Pam Grier goes to a department store and she tries on a suit, right? A black suit. And it just looks so great on her, right? And
Yeah.
she just her whole demeanor changed. She had changed out of her flight attendant costume and put on this smart
Oh,
black
right.
suit. And
Yeah.
she
What's
walked
up?
different and she moved different. And that's kind of the vibe that Harris is giving with her pantsuits. They're not dumpy, they're not dowdy. They're
Yeah.
sharp, they're stylish, they're professional. No one,
Hmm.
I mean, she, perfectly at home in a law firm or a professional setting, right? So not flashy, but very sharp. And that sends a lot
Yeah.
of signals to women, but it's also not out of touch. It's not too trendy. It's not,
Yeah.
it's safe, but sharp. It's, it's
Yeah.
stylish. And that's
Interesting.
quite deliberate, quite deliberate.
She's got verve.
Oh yeah.
I've been
Tons of
surprised
it.
when the laugh that as the Trump world was casting about a week ago, trying to figure out what's going to be the one thing we can nail her on, and the laugh was like at the top of the list for like
Mhm.
24 48 hours. That
Mhm.
doesn't seem to people don't seem to mind, doesn't seem to, and the inverse is it almost seems to be an endearing quality.
Here's where the rubber hits the road, though, Tom. She hasn't done any interviews. She's not doing pressers.
Mm, mm,
If she starts doing a lot of those, like some of the quirks could emerge, because she has had that habit of responding to a question with a laugh, right? And
yeah.
I could be a nervous tick, could be just maybe she just thought the question was funny. Like I don't know, I'm not in her head, but how she handles herself in those situations will be very important and also could give some clues to how they could more effectively run against her. We've only seen her in these rally
Mm.
settings in the like you know what I mean, or
Oh,
speaking to
yeah.
groups or on the teleprompter. We haven't seen her off the cuff.
That's why they were so sensitive at the Pennsylvania one when they put all the reporters in the pen and they
Oh
got
yeah.
yeah.
Stiff arms, already stiff arming the press.
Mm, mm. That you can't. It's a long time. That's a long time, especially for someone who's new. She's a new presidential candidate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah.
You know, do you think, going back to 2020, there were all these stories about the problems with staff and the staff
Oh yeah.
turnover
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
all this? Was that staff or was it the principal?
I don't know. Because when you talk to California reporters, right, who knew her when
Yeah,
back in the day, back in San Francisco, in Sacramento, she apparently always had those staff problems. And
really.
that's been a problem ongoing, but she doesn't have them now because she just inherited Biden's staff and they're all super pros.
Yeah.
Question I wonder, are they as loyal to her as they are to him?
Oh,
I'm not saying they aren't
yeah.
because they were so into him.
Yeah. They protected him
Mhm.
to his detriment.
Yes, indeed.
I mean,
Anyway, so those are some potential trouble spots. I mean, or just it's because it looks so great early days, but then you get into the meat of the thing and you start having to start. We were talking on the show today about how it was Tara Palmieri from Puck who was saying
hmm,
she ought to not do like one giant interview and do like 10 smaller ones. Because if she screws
yes.
up one giant interview or it goes flat, or she gives a bad
Hmm.
answer, you can diffuse it over 10 smaller interviews in a way that you couldn't if you do a sit down with Lester Holt.
Yeah, totally. Do local.
Do
Do
local.
Trump. I,
Very
I,
powerful.
right? Trump.
Local is it. Most Americans still get their news from local news. They
Yes.
watch it, they trust it. It's like the only
Yes.
news they trust. Like, I hate the news media, but my local news team, the eyewitness news team, they're on my side and they love them. And so that was part of Biden's strategy too, the Air Force One strategy, right? Like, fly it into town, give a
Yeah.
quick quote to the local paper, a shout out to the local news, and that was maximum impact.
Wow. Wisconsin especially has such a robust news environment, and maybe I mean, just thinking as a strategist here, as a newsman, I would say yes, absolutely. You do need to go talk with, especially with the Wisconsin press corps, because they are so robust.
Did you see though, Tom, when we were at the convention, the Milwaukee Journal offices had been turned into condos?
No,
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes. It was right on the path of, it was right in that whole like complex where the convention was. And it was like, it
Mm.
was called Journal Commons. And I asked Reed Epstein, who used to work for the paper, I said, did they turn your
Oh,
old newspaper office into condos? And he was
fuck.
like, yes. He said they're very nice condos. What a state, what a commentary on news,
Oh,
right?
I used to think, when I was at the Indy Star, for a hot minute in 2015, I used to think the greatest apostasy was them taking the newsroom and moving it to the mall. And the signature quality was you could always smell Auntie Anne's. Uh, that was delicious. Like, I mean, that's,
Mall.
but
Good
you know,
Lord.
um, so you think do a lot of local interviews if you're Kamala's people.
Yeah. Isn't that the smart move? But
Yeah.
yeah, and then maybe like after the convention, or I don't know what the timing with the convention, something big around there, sit down, something soft focus, maybe with Nora, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the traditions here? What would be a traditional interview? Would the nominee do a big sit down going into Chicago ahead of time, afterwards, on the trail with the new running mate, right
Yeah.
after?
Yeah, like a Q&A at the New York Times with the editorial department, something like that.
Oh, you think they can win back Salzburger?
I don't know. Yeah, but I'm just trying to game because it's been so long. And like, what even is, there used to be the things that were always done, the done thing. Like, you
Yeah.
always sit down with the local paper in X, or you always do the big national interview on this day. But who even knows now? I don't even remember, frankly.
I, I mean,
And Trump kind of blew out that playbook. So I guess it's like whatever they think is going to work is what she'll do.
it's who do you like for running mate right now?
Oh, Shapiro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with the sex scandal that just hit, the staffer that the Daily Beast just popped.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Did I miss that? I recently canceled my Daily Beast subscription.
I Yeah, it's been disappointing to see what they've done over
Yeah.
there. There's a lot of great reporters still there,
Hmm.
but a lot of great reporters they got rid of or saw the writing on the wall and moved
Yeah.
on.
Sam
Um,
Brody was a huge loss. Jackie Kucinich, absolutely.
yeah,
They still got Matt Lewis, who's great stuff. But I feel like so much of their reporting is like, I just had a notion and I'm writing about something in the first person. Like, I don't
I,
need that. I'm not paying for that.
what was that famous Business Insider article? I had more people text me about that in 2020 than any major scandal I ever wrote about. They're like, it was like some person said like they wrote a listicle. It's like I left New York. This is what I saw. I
That
was
was a
like,
story. That was
yeah.
like an article. Oh man.
It was peak.
Okay, so what was the sex scandal? Because I missed it. Fill me in.
I got out of the gym before now, and I'd heard a little rumblings about it. And let me pull it up because this is exactly it was a staffer. Um, Here, let's see. Pennsylvania governor. Here's the headline on the Daily Beast. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro is likely no longer the favorite to be Harris's VP nominee after his involvement in a sexual harassment cover-up has come to a head. The
Oh
Daily
dear.
Beast. Yeah,
So it was a claim against a longtime aide. He didn't do the harassing though.
that seems to be it. I'd heard a little bit about this before. This is Minnie Raker and one of my former colleagues from the Messenger, Marianne Akers, who's
Hmm. Hmm. I know them
um,
both. Yes.
yeah, man, I'll tell you, Minnie's great. I was
Yeah.
real sad to see Jake Lahud, but still a number of good reporters there. Here, let's read the top real quick. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro is the betting favorite to be number two on the Democratic ticket, but his handling of a sexual harassment case may tank his chances. The issue has come to a head with a little known women's rights organization urging Vice President Kamala Harris to think twice. Headline blaring: Governor Shapiro's failures enabled sexual harassment. The National Women's Defense League said in a statement that the Harris vetting team should consider the handling of past complaints of sexual harassment inside the Pennsylvania governor's office. Um, Looks like it's a staffer. It's not him, but feels like Chris Cuomo to Andrew Cuomo here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not direct, but I got to read this. I got to read this a little bit closer. I'll put it in the show notes after we post this.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Because so when we last checked in, she hadn't met with any of her potential picks. She hadn't met with any of them. And I think they were going to do that this weekend because you saw that spate of cancellations, like Bashir and Shapiro both had events like coming up in the next few
yeah.
days that they bagged, which I assumed they were going to meet with her. Um, I don't know.
So, America's granddad, Tim Waltz,
Isn't he too lefty? Too lefty.
he is. Yeah, too much. Minnesota progressives don't do well on national tickets. They
Yeah.
really,
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not, that's just the rap on him that he's just too far
yeah.
left. Doesn't add anything.
Well, Cooper's out. Bashir doesn't seem like he's ready for prime time.
I don't know.
And some of his interviews have been a little rickety.
I never
Uh,
bought the Buddha Judge. Never bought
no,
that. No,
no,
no.
yeah, it feels a little bit more like a consultant creation. Now he
Yes.
is, I mean, he is incredible. As I had somebody say Buddha Judge for DNC chair to be the attack dog.
Really? I'm not sure he'd want to take himself out of the game like that.
Yeah, you're already a
It's kind of
cabinet
a nothing,
secretary.
kind of a nothing job, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Jamie Harrison doesn't really have profile.
No, no.
Not like Howard Dean did before they changed it. You know what I mean? Like that used to be a gig. I just think it's not a
Yes.
gig. And I think Buttigieg is so ambitious, he's not gonna they're not gonna let them take him out of the game.
Is Maryland Governor Westmore, is this guy like the right level of energy or is he too thirsty?
he ah he's so promising, but he's also reached that point of like self-awareness. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Where there's so much performance. I love talking to the guy. He's really
yeah.
great. He's obviously a huge rising star. But I don't know, something happens. This never happened to me, Tom. Maybe it's happened to you, but I never heard over and over again that I was amazing.
Oh,
And I think a lot of times with candidates, politicians, they're the answer, and they're amazing.
yeah.
It kind of
Yeah.
puts a zap on their heads a little bit.
He feels a little bit like I think peak Ramaswamy was him rapping Eminem at the Iowa State Fair.
That was peak Ramaswamy.
And everything
Wait,
after
are
that.
you comparing that to Wes Moore? Ramaswamy rapping Eminem? I don't think we're there yet, Tom. I don't think we're there yet.
You say, are there more tryouts with the Terps that we have yet to see?
God.
Deval Patrick used to be so promising as a national figure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still talk to him all the time. He keeps bees.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, he's at Harvard School, or maybe he left. I think he was leaving the Harvard School, the Kennedy School at Harvard. Yeah, he's a gentleman farmer, still active in, law practice, things like that. He's still,
Oh,
but I don't think he's got another run in him,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
That generation, because I remember when he was starting out. Well, I wonder. Okay, so probably not Tim Waltz. Whitmer? Do you double down? The
No,
Power Woman ticket?
no,
No,
no, no. America's not ready for the estrogen bath, Tom.
no. Yeah,
No.
yeah,
This is still the country that elected Donald Trump almost twice. And
yeah.
yes, also elected Barack Obama, but it's been a while.
It has. Boy, the backlash gave us Trump. It's like,
And
yeah.
and that's another dynamic that's not getting a lot of play, is that if we agree that every president is a reaction to the last one,
Mm.
how does that play out in this situation?
Oh, what's up?
Right?
Yeah.
So what
Whoa.
is the reaction to Biden?
Well, it's not anymore. It's a reaction to Trump.
Yeah, I guess.
It's kind of how it feels.
Mhm.
The details. John Dickerson had that great comment across the social media platforms. That is so much regarding the prisoner swap and us getting Gershkovich back. Saying that so much of politics is we never see until it happens, and
Yes.
about
Yeah.
Biden doing that. Just I think he once he sealed the deal, just a couple hours later, wrote the note.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm
Did you
out."
see Jake Sullivan getting like super emotional about it today?
Wow.
Yeah,
No, I
it was
didn't.
powerful stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. It is. There is some actual four-dimensional chess still being played in politics, thank God.
Yeah. Every time one of these big like Woodward books or Peter Baker books come out, I realize how much I didn't know at the time.
Yeah, yes, 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 right? Like there's still some grandmasters at work.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
is, I kept on like looking for Trump to become a grandmaster, and it's just impossible. It's not.
It was Nick Catoggio from the Dispatch wrote tonight in his newsletter. I don't know if you read it, Tom. It was so funny. He was saying, that he was talking to someone about Trump and this three-dimensional chess idea, and the person who told him was like someone close to Trump, and said, sometimes he's just eating the pieces. He's not playing the game, just eating the pieces.
uh, yeah, you had Bolton on recently,
Oh
who's
yeah, I bolted
constantly
on
made
all
this.
the time. He will only do pre-tapes though. I think he fears me live. He shouldn't.
Really
I think
interesting. Oh,
always
fascinating.
pre-tape with that guy.
Well, he's on to you. I mean, he knows
Yeah,
what's up.
he knows all my sneaky reporter tricks. Not going to fall for
He twizzles his mustache.
them.
So you know
Trump
you
calling
got him.
Captain Kangaroo. Yeah, I like
um,
talking to that guy. I like that guy.
and as I recall, he's a native of Baltimore.
Is he?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. All kinds of talent comes out of Baltimore.
Matt Rosendale. Jolie.
Oh, Matt. Oh no, I don't know. Wait, Matt Rosendale?
Yeah, well, I mean, he represents Montana, but isn't he from Maryland? He has got that Maryland accent.
Oh, no shit. Well, I'll tell you, he's got a Dundalk haircut. That's for certain. That's that's definitely season two of The Wire.
Yes. Yes.
A couple family members like that, That's a all right. So what's coming up next week? It's like Jesus. I'm gonna be. This is Thursday night. I'm gonna be publishing this on Friday. Um, God willing, there's not like a nuclear apocalypse tomorrow at 5 p.m. or like the Supreme Court decides to disband or whatever else insane. So what insanity is up next?
Well, of course, we're all on call to work this weekend in case there's news, right?
It always.
But apparently, so she's scheduled to make her first appearance with her running mate on Tuesday, so we could find out Monday or Tuesday who that's going to be.
Okay. Yep.
That's the next big thing.
Yep. And then today is the first, and then they finalize it August 7th with the
The roll call.
virtual. Yeah. What do Trump and Vance do with this? Or do they do anything? They have to do something
With
with
the
it.
roll call or with the Veep stakes?
Yeah, once the ticket's set.
I don't know. I'm eager to see. I mean, they've gone a little dark, but like I said, I don't think that's going to last, Tom. Do you?
No,
No,
can't.
no.
Trump needs attention. He's an attention monster. It's You'll find another one. Is the National Association of Hispanic Journalists? Do they have a convention coming up?
Do they? I don't know. I'm not a member.
And NHJ had one. Oh, it was months ago because I think Adrian Carrasquillo.
Oh
I
yeah.
think he was
Uh-huh.
down there for it. Another former messenger colleague who's doing his own thing now over Carrasquillo Media and writing at Vanity Fair. He's been written a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
good
cool.
stuff over there.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay. Julie, okay, everybody listening to this is probably a pooligan in one form or another. But for everybody who's not a pooligan, where do we find you?
Oh, you can find me on Blue Sky at Julie Mason.
Okay. Blue Sky, not Threads?
No, no, I'm just Blue
No.
Sky because it's just for me. It operates as like a just a chat room with my listeners. I'm not like trying to push my interviews out there. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's what Twitter used to be, which was like a really nice way for me to communicate directly with listeners, to take their
Oh, yeah.
questions live, to answer their questions, to like have a kind of a rolling conversation with the audience, which is a
Yeah.
really great thing that gives them a little buy-in. It's like
Yep.
nice little symbiosis, that a nice synergy, Tom, if you will.
Yes.
Synergy. But Twitter just it's for all the reasons, Nazis, abuse,
Yeah.
threats, it
Yeah.
just became so toxic. So I moved it over to Blue Sky, and a lot of the audience came with me. Just a few thousand followers, no big
Okay.
deal. Not trying to build like 2 million, and not doing that anymore. Learned lesson, right? So it's
Yeah.
just like the audience, and we chat on Blue Sky during the show, and then I don't really look at it otherwise.
I see Supine Jennings
Oh yeah,
constantly.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's
Supine.
a great listener of mine down in St. Augustine, Florida.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, he's in the thick of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he got like riding crocodiles and alligators down there.
Basically, that's what's up. Yeah. Yeah.
um no, okay, no threads, and no Twitter. God, what other ones? LinkedIn. Do you social on LinkedIn like everybody else these days?
That's so weird, Tom. I had a guy actually proposition me on LinkedIn. I'm like, that is not what this is for. What are you doing? No, LinkedIn.
Jesus.
So bad, Tom. So unwelcome.
pumping them, pumping them like pumping them in the in mail credits like it's Tinder.
Yeah, exactly. Swipe left if you're looking to work. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I never look at it for reasons. Uh, I'm on Facebook, but I had to disable allowing other people to post on my Facebook page because people just kept posting their political manifestos. And I was like, I don't
Oh.
want to read this. Like these huge, long diatribes about politics. I had to shut that down. I'm just not into social media. I like it to keep in touch with old friends from summer camp. That's it.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I stopped doing Facebook a lot. I probably should go back to there, but man, it's gotten crazy, especially with the AI weirdness.
Wow.
And of course, channel 124 on Sirius
Yes.
XM.
Yes, the POTUS channel, the mighty, mighty POTUS channel.
And can we get the Julie Mason show on the app
Yes,
anytime?
of course. Yes, on demand on the app at your leisure. It's great
Awesome.
anytime.
Oh, do you YouTube?
Not really.
Yeah. Okay.
Do people
I
YouTube?
Yeah, everybody
Yeah,
YouTubes. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm told to YouTube constantly.
What is that, like the key to the kingdom? You got to be on YouTube now?
Yeah.
Sorry, Tom. Wah, wah. Got to go on YouTube.
I got these kids at school asking me, "Have you interviewed Mr. Beast?" I'm like, "No, maybe I should."
Yeah.
Ride around in the car with $300,000 just throwing it at people,
Wow.
stacks of cash. YouTube is a thing.
It really is. It really is. Like I will ask a young person, like, what news do you follow? And they'll say, well, I catch some on YouTube. I just want
Yeah.
to stab myself in the face.
I had a meltdown. I had a
Yeah.
meltdown a couple weeks ago. They were playing some crap with like some conspiracy theory because it goes on autoplay. Even on YouTube Kids, it goes on autoplay. And uh, it was some crap about some conspiracy theory about the Titanic did not crash because of an iceberg. And it's like 45 minutes of convolution, winding its way through all the reasons it's not the iceberg. And this one person is the one who knows everything. And you get to the end of 45 minutes and you have to subscribe to watch the second video. And I'm like, this is a level of insidiousness I have not experienced.
That is horrible. That's horrible.
It's
Also,
evil.
feels like a waste of time.
Yes. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
um Julie, thank you so much for
Of
being
course. Of
on.
course. Lovely to chat with you for 90 minutes on a Thursday night in America.
Yes.
I had no other
Yes.
plans. I had no other plans.
Me
Nothing to drink but
neither.
water. All good.
Yes.
Well, I
Epic.
love what you guys are
Epic
doing with
jam
the
session.
24sight. It's really, really great stuff.
Thanks, Julie. Thank you so much. This is
Of course.
best jam session. I'm gonna hit the stop right here.